For my next stunt, I don't recommend you guys trying this one at home. So what we're going to do is strip the panels on this Plycraft chair, but we're going to be using the methylene chloride stripper. So as you can see, I'm in the front of my shop right now. We have the ventilation blowing air behind us. We have all the ventilation of outside right here at the door front. But as I said, you should always wear your proper PPE, your masks, long gloves, things along that nature. And here's a pro tip for all of you. Get a rag whenever you're opening your methylene chloride type stripper. Put a rag over the top, because every once in a while when it's hot, this thing's going to want to off gas and shoot out some of the vapors, and you don't want that shooting in your face. I said this one didn't do it today. It's been kind of cool here today, so same thing. It's just good protection. Rather be safe than sorry. We still have the goggles on, that's more important. And then these gloves. These gloves are amazing. I have them inside of my Amazon store. I'll leave the link for that store down below. But these guys here are the thickest. They don't break easily. They cover, I think they have ones that cover even further if you want to get longer. But we have like mid-arm length. And I said we only go through maybe 2 or 3 pairs of these a year, and we strip a lot of furniture. So now you can see the panel, that is all the hardware has been taken off. You can see how dark the wood was originally and how much of this has been sun faded. Even from this angle, I could see a lot of the swirl marks because somebody went in here with 80 grit sandpaper or even an orbital sander. But another tip here, if you see this, then you know that this has been refinished one time before, meaning that veneer is now a little thinner than what it should be, and you need to proceed with caution. And this is why I love the Benco, the B7. This stuff works really quick. This is a thinner, lighter finish that's on here. I don't know if somebody sprayed it with some aerosol cans or what, but it takes this off. As you can see, I'm still just applying it on carefully and evenly. I'm gonna hit that edge as well around the outside. But now I can pretty much take my scraping, my putty knife, and get my box, and this finish will basically come right off just like that. And now we're back down to the raw wood. So once we let that, we get that all off, I have the nice steel wool. We're just going to carefully go, I try to go with the grain as much as possible. I'm going to remove this and get that last little bit of surface stripper and finish off. And this is what's really now exposing all of the damage on this chair. Let me get it cleaned up and I'll bring you on in and show you. So if you come in, you can see right here, you see all these little swirl marks around this curve, which is a really hard curve to get perfect. So many people don't understand that this needs hand sanding, but they try to go with 150 grit or 80 grit and then go straight to 320. You have to bring your steps up, go from like 150 to 220 to 320. But you could also see a lot more of the scratch marks and the dents that you couldn't see before. So there's some scratch marks here, some dents. You have some small scratch marks here. It looks like a heart. Someone drew a heart on it. And I said these are all things that we're going to figure out how to correct down in the next step. So we're going to get this one finished up and the other 2 stripped, get them all washed, and then let them dry for a few hours before we do any of these types of repairs. So now you could tell stripping furniture is not that difficult as long as you follow the steps that I provided and buying all the right materials. That'll be a game changer for you in your refinishing. But now, as you can see, this is back down to raw wood. It's ready for some repairs. And I saw a few little loose spots, a few chips that we're going to do some filling. But so what I'm going to do first is grab the glue and show you a little spot that is loose on the laminated plywood. So I noticed down here at the bottom, there is a delamination on the plywood. Sometimes it'll shrink, maybe sometimes they get a little water damage. But what I have noticed over time is do not clamp these down because they're going to want to pop back off. Sometimes, I said, the wood may have shrunk or bent a little bit different. So what I like to do is get my super glue and I'm just going to backfill this entire crack with the glue. So that way it holds itself down, but at the same time, we're not forcing it shut. So when in these situations, even though, I'll show you right now, I can go in here and push this back down and close it, As you can see, the wood looks like it's slightly larger than like where it could go back into, meaning we're gonna have some issues. Maybe, you know, it might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years from now, but this is not gonna hold up. So I like to just backfill it with this super glue, and then we'll fill it with an epoxy filler right there at the top of the surface. So you can see, now that I'm filling it up, it's starting to make its way up to the surface. It's starting to fill all the way up. So when I let it go, there's a little drip there. And you can see it's doing exactly what we want it to. I'm going to run it down in the crack all the way over here as well. Give it one more little squeeze, I think is all it needs. There you go. That's filled up. So, and this is going to take a few minutes for it to dry. So we have the activator. This will help. But because you saw us put so much in there, I would not flip this back over yet. I would not do that because all that glue that's ran inside of this shoulder of the chair, it's going to just pour right back out. Get on your hands, stick to your hands, burn you, all the above. You said you don't want to have that happen. So if you work your way in too, you can see that it is, I'm squeezing here now, and now it's not moving anywhere. So that's how we know. I mean, even this, temperature-wise, it's really warm here because you're causing a chemical reaction. You know, and if you want to see this chemical reaction, we did a long-form video over inside of the school community. I'll leave the link down below. You can see how the thin, the medium, and the thick look on a black background. We activate it, you can see the chemical reaction, and there's a little smoke that comes up, and I described to you what that is and what you need to be careful for. So I'm gonna let that glue dry just a little bit, but now it's time for the magic stuff, the Mohawk epoxy filler sticks. And this one here is in the walnut, because obviously we are working on a walnut piece of furniture. And so we got real lucky too that there's not a lot of damage to this piece in particular. The upper section, I'll show you in a minute, that was probably the worst one. Swirl marks everywhere, meaning if you're a new refinisher, don't start refinishing with 80 grit or anything lower than that, 60 grit. You're going to damage the veneer, and it just causes the next refinisher or the next homeowner to have to do a lot more for their project. Cost-wise too, it takes longer to sand it, get it out, and hopefully you get it done right where you don't pass through the veneer. Okay, so we got that mixed up for about a minute. And now I'm going to go around. I found a few little open pores right here that don't look very good. I said what you're doing is you're trying to pick out anything wrong with it. See some more of the swirl marks through here as well. So we're trying to identify anything that's wrong. And I said I got lucky. I said I know we know how we have one spot that was wrong, the spot that we just filled full of glue. So we'll do that right now. You're going to want to press this into place. You get your putty knife and push it down. I said we want to fill that, and there's, like I said, now it's tight. It's not going to come delaminated again, and it gives it that wiggle room where it's not going to expand and contract and then unglue itself. I have seen that happen in the past. A lot of you who know mid-century modern know the Paul McCobb furniture. Solid maple, solid birch. That was where I learned this trick, because those would like to break on the seams, and when you clamp them tight, the wood eventually, we saw it happening within a week, popped back open, and we realized we can't force this thing shut unless you had screws or dowels or things along that nature, which for a lot of those tables you don't really need to do that. We do the same process with those types of furniture. We'll backfill it, then use epoxy to fill the gap, and it has glue and epoxy. It's a win-win. Never gonna have an issue with that again. We're gonna let that other piece dry for a few minutes, then we can get into sanding, but I promised you that I would show you why I don't like 80 grit and I really don't like orbital sanders. Come in a little bit closer. So as you can see, when you get in a little closer, you see this swirly pattern on the inside. That's because someone went really heavy with the sander. I preached that over on social media, here on YouTube. That's why we like those Makita quarter sheet finishing sanding machines. They are a little slower. They do not work as great when it comes to sanding really fast. We don't want fast though. When you're doing restoration, speed is not what you want in this type of finishing. It's about the final steps, getting it done right, not quicker. So just remember that when you're going to buy your sander, look into the Makita sander that I use. We have been using it probably for 15 to 18 years here at the shop and prior to me taking over as Moore's Refinishing.